Hey guys, my name is Chance, and I've been playing the Marathon Server Slam over the weekend as a UI UX designer and graphic designer for the past 8 years. I wanted to make a video addressing some of the things that I believe could be cleaned up that would help new users understand the interface a little bit better and therefore get into the game a little bit easier. So I think they have the formula right with everything being in a book style, meaning that it is left to right, top to bottom organization. And right off the bat here, you have in the top left corner season level, rank level, silk, and credit values, along with your user. And then as you go down top to bottom, you see loadout factions and codecs. Think this is really good. This is really simple. There's not too much here. With everything being 3 to 4 clicks, you can get to most of what you need, but in the way that it's organized is a little bit off. And I'm going to show before and after screens to show what I would actually do to improve this. So starting in loadout, I think the order, if we were to just flip this over here along with this top bar of customized shell select, loadout, vault, and armory, if these two were to swap positions, that would be a lot easier. And this is because you spend a lot of time in this top right corner going between what you need. And I understand if it is closer, you're clicking through these menus to kind of go hear it and, click and drag stuff over, or just control click and immediately move it into your backpack or onto the item, that slot that you need. Where this kind of gets a little bit hectic is the fact that customize comes before shell select, when I think that you should actually be selecting the shell first and then getting into the customization of that specific shell just for order purposes. This way, it's just a little bit cleaner when you're going from shell select into customize. You got the cosmetics, and now you're doing loadout. On a loadout screen, I think this being separated into 4 quadrants is really nice. You got the shell select on this side, a preview of what that looks like, the armor and mods, and then your backpack. One thing that I think is confusing right here, though, is the fact that when you begin to open up your vault, from if you're continuing with that left or right theory, I think that the gun takes priority over the mods, and I think that that order should be swapped with those two right here. Now, one thing that this UI does is it sets a precedent for something for users to expect, and then it diverts it right in the next quadrant of the screen. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. So this goes gun, mod, equipment, shield, 2 cores, and 3 implants. The issue is that when you get over here into the actual vault, the order in which these icons appear are a little bit off. And so I'll go through with the icons just so that you can see what I mean. It starts with all, which is organized by largest item to smallest item. And then you go into weapons. Then you go into consumables, followed by equipment, ammo, mods, implants, cores, salvage, sponsor kits. But the actual order should actually be the same order as what you encounter here. And so that would actually be weapons, mods, ammo, then consumables in the backpack. This takes the care of that entire top half of the page. And then it should go down into equipment and shields, cores, implants, and finally salvageables and sponsor kits at the end. Think this would be a lot easier because one thing that our creators does is it allows you to click the specific thing in your loadout while you're looking at an empty slot for it, and it will automatically filter to one of these specific things, right? Based on which one you click. This is very confusing for players, and it kind of makes you jump all around the screen. And when you don't know exactly what you're looking at, it's hard to actually organize a structure to where you can feel confident about what the loadout is going to be in between matches. And even though I think a really good UI point is that they have a ton of tooltips that occur when you're doing hovers, and it even when you're going for different consumables items that you're placing, it shows you the area in which you're going to be placing it with a nice highlighted section to the bottom left. But I do think a small, very simple, just reordering of what these buttons look like could make a world of difference. Back to the top of here, one thing one of my friends mentioned to me was that he didn't really know where things were in regard to like what you could buy and what the actual storage was. A simple naming convention that could clean this up very easily is Renaming Armory to just shop. One thing that could be mistaken is that Armory is where weapons go and Vault is where everything else goes. Since this is where you can buy everything from the different factions, would just be a lot easier when you're trying to figure this out, and it just eliminates confusion from there. I think this would just add some structure into how people are seeing it because this is left to right and again top to bottom. This should also follow that same top to bottom structure. Backing on out, going into factions, I see that they have these 6 cards here for the specific factions. And this is technically, if you're at homepage, this is 1, 2 clicks, and then you have agent contracts and upgrades as your third click. Then you have all of the factions in the top right. Again, if we swap these 2 sections here and swapped it with this one, this would just be a lot better ordering because then you could go through the factions and you would be doing that right here. And then you could just go down to your agent contracts and upgrades. It reduces, again, reaching across the screen and that extra movement that sometimes will confuse users when they're trying to navigate stuff relatively quickly. I don't know if this is entirely a thing, but this would be a personal preference thing. I'm not a game developer, so I don't know. I'm just providing critique that I think has some logic behind it. But I do think, in a best case scenario, that instead of having to click from factions to choose your faction, I think it would be a lot easier. And again, with that swap in the top left, if they just really leaned into their visuals and automatically started you in this section on the agent side. This agent side has a very beautiful interface. It shows and is a lot more visual, what the faction is, how to gain reputation, and then the things that you can do for that specific faction. This would eliminate this entire window and just starting people on the top left for the leftmost faction or even whichever one they left off of would do great to just being able to see these because these agent displays for each faction look so beautiful. I think this is a really good display. It's clear distinction between what's on the left side, what's on the right side, and there's a nice animated visual in the middle for that. From there, you'd again be able to go down, and this takes it from 3 clicks to 1. It puts you right here, and then this is your 2, or you can do your 2 and then your 3, basically, depending on which faction you're at. That'd be my feedback there. Otherwise, I think this is really nice. I love the fact that, again, you have this agent section with the contracts that you can easily select. Each one gives 2, or you can re-roll them. Again, with this left to right, top to bottom, there's a clear indication of what the name of it is, what the description is, what you actually have to do, what the rewards are, and then the options that you have and toggles in regards to how to activate it or how much it costs to re-roll it. Next, we have the upgrade tree. I really like the upgrade tree. I don't have too many suggestions for this. I do think that because it's clustered, you kind of see which ones feed into each other. The green dots right here shows you if there are multiple steps to these and what it takes to increase that tier of perk. And so I think that's really nice. I wouldn't really do anything. I think this looks like a motherboard, which is a really cool and adds to the aesthetic of the entire game. So that's all I have for the faction section. Moving on into Codex, we again have a one click into the career, loot, world, factions, or runners. And unfortunately, this is one of Bungie's problems is a heavy backend menu for challenges and cosmetics, which I think a lot of people didn't even look at this because they just thought this was lore related. But it actually does have a lot of benefit to actually show you what you can unlock for doing different challenges. And this gives you another reason to grind or to get clips in certain kind of ways by doing certain things that then reward you for doing so. And this is where you're going to find all of your cosmetics, all of your background profiles. There's even a section here for factions. If you go into your faction and go down to sponsored kit for X filling, you actually get a reward for X filling with a certain sponsor kit on the class, and that gives you cosmetics for that class, which is really dope. It's a really nice added layer of customization for people that want to go the extra mile and do something a little bit more difficult and therefore be rewarded for it. Onto how these actually look, though, and the organization that could be done. When you hover over these, they have video playing, but when you click into them, it plays the same video. Again, I don't know if this is just because we're in a server slam, but it kind of seems a little bit repetitive or unnecessary. I would like to see maybe just they could just do a simple color highlight of just making it like this text green and keeping the same background, or making it the color of the faction that is going to that it's gonna be in. So when you click into here again, you have that top left to right. The same issue is occurring with this being in the top right corner and you being able to switch through these same three tiles up here. Again, if that's just in the top left corner, you can do that right there and then just go right here and do season one, season two, whatever, milestones, so on and so forth, and navigate that a little bit easier. Same thing here. I do love the customization for the amount of gun skins, and it looks like there's space for them to add more. So I'm really looking forward to that. But this is fine as it is. This is really the only thing that I would change here. Anyway, I hope this helps, and I hope that this makes it a little bit more clear for how they could tighten some things up, as well as if you're a new player and you need some help navigating it, what the actual base structure is and how to read it. Anyway, I'll be making more videos on Marathon because I do think this is worth the $40 and I would love to get in and play more of this. So if you want to see more videos like this, leave a like and a sub, and I hope you have a blessed day.